Hi everybody, my name is Warren and welcome back to Work with Warren, a place where we are creating a beautiful life through thrift, hustle, and DIY. If you've been following me for a while, you'll know I love getting whatever supplies I can secondhand, and I'm a firm believer that if you live in a well-populated area with a decent secondhand marketplace, you can get pretty much whatever you want at whatever price you want, including free, as long as you are patient and diligent about checking those marketplaces. How this translates to a channel like this though, is that sometimes if I want to do a larger project, like an entire room, it can take me a while to gather the supplies that I need to get, because I'm not just buying everything new off the shelf, right? And so I'm actually in the middle of redoing this room, which is our bedroom. I'm also in the middle of redoing our basement area, as well as our kitchen slash dining nook area, which is all kind of connected. And I'm going to eventually do that as an overall kitchen cabinetry makeover. So what you're going to see today is episode 1 of the dining nook makeover, because I found the perfect cabinets to go in that area. So let's get into the video and I'll give you a quick history of what's gone on in that area so far. The dining nook slash kitchen is this awkward L-shaped room that's a few steps down from the living room. It's been set up in some form of this since we moved in, basically. I loved this table. It was a travertine top that I got for $60, and the base was a DIY. It was a free boardroom table and some half-round pine. And then I found this marble top, which I thought was going to be the table to end all tables. And I do love how it looks in here. However, it adds a little bit too much green to the space on top of the plants. And really, the space actually requires an oval. So I did begin to keep my eyes open for an oval table. These cabinets were an IKEA flip. I absolutely loved them, and I thought we were going to be displaying really nice things, but as you can tell, we don't deserve open shelving. And then I found these two cabinets for $120, bingo. Before starting work with those, I did just want to hang some curtains that I'd purchased off of Facebook Marketplace. I got these for, I believe, $80. They're these West Elm linen shears. I just needed something to kind of give some privacy while still letting the light in. I think that these did a fantastic job of doing that, and they work well with the black cabinetry, but you'll see that they kind of clash with the new ones, which we're going to get to right now. So these new cabinets are fantastic. They are so tall, and this is a very tall room actually. It's got like 11-foot ceilings or something, so I liked the idea of having A, something that accentuated the height, and B, something that had like really usable storage, where the last cabinets weren't actually that great. So these ones have the 3 drawers at the bottom, as you can tell, as well as plenty of shelving storage above, which is usually covered by a door. So what I did was I removed all of the drawers and the doors, and then, I mean, this one I really struggled with. Eventually, I think I might have broken something to get this one out, but eventually it did get it out. And the most important part of any painting project is putting in the time to do the prep work properly. So I laid down these cabinets and I gave everything a good clean with this Eco TSP. Love this product, super easy to use. You just dilute it with water. Does a great job of cleaning and degreasing a project before you're doing any other work to it. I'll link it below if you're interested. And I just gave everything a good wipe down with that. Step 2 is patching any holes that you need to. So I tried to pull out some nails. I don't know why there were so many, but I tried to pull out some nails with the needle nose pliers. Eventually, I just hammered them in with a square head screwdriver. Once they were beneath the surface, I took some wood filler and patched those holes. There were some actually pretty big chunks at the top of this, so I kind of had to reshape it a little bit. But this is step 2 before you get to sanding. You just want to make sure that everything's kind of filled in so that there's not going to be any noticeable scratches once you do the painting. And I do want to use new hardware for the drawers and the doors, so I removed the knobs and I filled the holes with wood filler as well. Once that was done, I connected my shop vac to my orbital sander and I started scuff sanding all the surfaces. Everything, as you can see, was quite glossy, and I wanted to make sure that the primer and paint were going to stick properly. There was quite a lot of wood filler in the chunks in the top corner, so I used my heat gun to help that dry. Once that was done, I did go over it with my sander before finishing out the shape with a little bit more wood filler to make sure that the corner was nice and sharp. For the rounded edges, I used foam over sandpaper, and then I also really got into the cracks where the drawer fronts are to make sure that everything had been scuffed properly. Once that was done, I took a damp rag and I wiped off any dust to make sure that we were good to start priming. And the last thing before painting is to tape off any areas that I don't want any paint to get onto. So this is basically the insides of the cabinets and the areas around the sliders for the drawers as well, to make sure that no primer or paint was going to gunk up the mechanisms there. Now on to priming, and this is where things actually start to come together for the project. As you can see, I'm mixing this with a actual like cement mixer thing. I'm using Kills. I do enjoy the primer. I think it does a good job. However, I bought it twice, and both times there is a thick layer of unmixable sediment at the bottom of the gallon. So I don't know if I'd recommend it specifically because of that. Maybe it was just a 2-off, but it happened both times that I bought a gallon, where there was a very thick layer that could not be mixed into the rest of the primer. That being said, the primer itself works perfectly fine. I enjoy it. And here's where the project starts to come together, because you can actually see what it's going to look like when it's not this like orangey maple color. And this part is where everything kind of gets exciting. So once everything's primed, it's really easy to see where you need to do any extra filler. So I could see that there's like a little bit of a chunk missing from the back of this part of the cabinet. So I did fill that in with wood filler, sanded that down, and then primed over it again. And now it comes to painting, and this is my favorite part because you can see everything start to come together. I'm using Sherwin-Williams urethane enamel. I love this paint and it holds up very well to high traffic areas. By the way, if you don't have one of these little plastic widgets that clips to the edge of your paint can that stops all the dripping, you are missing out. I will link it below. It's not very expensive, but it's a game changer. And my landlord is super easygoing. She loves everything I've done to the place so far. She's like, do whatever you want to the kitchen, just I want the countertops to stay black. And I'm like, I can work with that. And so this is the vibe I'm going for. I picked the color Restoration because I feel like this is a pretty close match. But as you're going to see, and as you can see, even with it going on, it goes on lighter, but even when it dries, it's not quite the color that I'm wanting. Like, this is the color that it turned out like. This is like a very creamy color, not very brown at all.
Okay, so Restoration is the color that we're working with. This looks more like soft suede. Obviously, it's just one coat and it's not dry. I know it dries darker. Also, this appears darker in in my camera than it does in real life. Maybe it's just my lighting settings, I'm not sure. But yeah, this is what we're going for. This is like not that. We're gonna see how it dries though. Oof. Okay, so this is so that we can see what the difference between dried and wet is. Different color.
Had I known how many times I was going to go back to the paint store, I would have been filming that part of the process too, but I couldn't possibly have known that it was going to take like 5 trips to the paint store to get the color to even somewhat close to what I was looking for. I don't know what the problem was, to be honest, but eventually we did get it to a place where it matched with the table well enough that I thought that we could work with it, but You don't see that, but like, just trust me that I put like 5 coats of paint on these cabinets, so you don't need to sit through all of that, but that did happen. Also, I do have a paint sprayer and I love using it on large projects, but on large flat surfaces like this, I find that you get just as good of a finish with a dollar store foam roller. And against all odds, weeks later, it was time to finally move these cabinets in. So the first thing that we did was empty out the current cabinets that we had, putting everything onto the table, cleaning them out, and getting them ready for sale. And we didn't know when we were going to get behind these cabinets again, so we decided to give everything a good clean while the space was open. These cabinets were way too tall to bring in through the front door / living room area, so we actually had to walk them all around the townhouse complex to get them through this back door. And we made sure that the one where the top corner had all the filling work done in it, that corner was the one that was facing like outside of the room, so that you didn't really have your eyes on it at any point. So we shuffled them around into the correct order, pushed them back against the wall, and put the drawers and the doors back on and got them ready to stock full of all of our stuff. And I did use these, I'm sure that I'm not using them right, but I used these little shims and some felt furniture pads, and I just used these to tilt the cabinets back against the wall. I am eventually actually going to secure these to the wall because I'm going to make them part of like a built-in type thing, but for now I just needed to make sure that they weren't going to topple forward. Okay, so this is what the space is currently looking like. I found the oval, which works way better in the space. I got the glass for 60 and the base was 30, and then you can actually watch my shorts to see how I refinished these chairs, which I had gotten for free. So the kitchen is very orange. It has an orange floor, orange cabinetry. I want to get rid of the floor and I want to paint the cabinetry as well as the cabinets that I just did, because the undertones don't work in this space. There's just way too much going on, but I do love the cabinets in general. I love the cabinets, super not happy with the color. And it's not even that I don't like the color, I love the color, I just do not like it in this space. Like right now I have our very bright white lights on to kind of show you what like the natural daylight color is. And this is fine, but the second that I put on a softer, warm, relaxed light, which is what I do in the evening, they give this like yellowy, greeny, kind of pukey undertone, super not into it. So it's not the right color for this space, and that's perfectly fine. I was seduced by a table that we don't even have anymore, so there's no need to choose a color like this. But I love having these in here. Now I know kind of what the layout for the space is going to be for the next iteration of this room. If you like this video, please leave me a like, and please leave me a comment with what color you would redo these cabinets in. And also, because it's going to be the entire kitchen, it's going to be a lot of color in one small area. So what color would you do? Please leave it in the comments below. And if you want to see more DIY content like this, including the continuation of this makeover, subscribe, because there's plenty more where that came from, and I'll see you next time on Work with Warren.